Hello and welcome to another PlanetDestiny video. Today we'll be taking a look at the new activity coming in the Taken King called the Court of Oryx. I can try to explain the activity, but I think it would just be best to give you a quick rundown of a typical encounter in the Court of Oryx, and I'll go into the details of it after that. First, spawn into the Dreadnought Patrol. It's best to have 2 other people in your fire team since this is designed around 3 people. Then, make your way to the Court of Oryx area. I'll speed up this part of the footage because I'm sure most of you want to explore the Dreadnought for yourselves. Once you get there, you'll have access to different tiers of fights. The statues determine which level you'll be doing. We walked up to the first tier and presented a rune to start the encounter. The giant portal opened up and a boss stepped out. For this encounter, I'll use footage of the doll wizards. Once I put the rune in the statue, I had to approach the portal. You'll notice at the top of the screen there's a small hint on how to complete the fight. For this one it says, kill quickly or the wizards will return. Using a bit of info and just basic MMO knowledge, I assume that if you don't kill them all around at the same time, then they'll keep coming back. When one wizard died, the same message popped up as a reminder. While all this is going on, there are some other random thralls that spawn too, so we kinda had to kill those so we didn't die. You'll notice that there are also more than just my fire team here. Another fire team was also in the same area, and they were able to help out and kill the boss. Since this is an open patrol area, you can have random people come in just like a normal public event. Anyway, we zerged down the wizards, and I was presented with quite a few things from the chest at the top of the encounter. I got a new scout rifle, a ghost shell, a shotgun, and a stolen rune. You'll notice I also have a debuff on me called Summoner's Exhaustion. If you are the one that started an encounter and complete it, then you'll get this debuff to prevent you from summoning another fight for a time. This allows others in your fire team or the public space to spawn a fight for themselves. So those are the basics of how a typical Court of Oryx encounter will work. Now let's just get into the details. I mentioned previously that there are tier levels of encounters. What you're seeing now is a tier 1 encounter. They are designed to be completed with a 3-man fire team at around 190 light level or so. We know that there are at least 2 higher tiers of encounters from this one that we'll call tier 2 and 3. Here's what happened when we spawned a tier 2 encounter while we were all at light level 200. So yeah, the tier 2 encounters are tuned a little bit higher than that of light level 200. The official light level for tier 2 was at level 240. After we did Court of Oryx for a while, I was able to get my light level up to 217, and I was finally able to hold my own against some of the mobs in a tier 2 encounter. If everyone else on my fire team had been able to get that high a light level, we probably could have done it. I was just really lucky with my loot drops. Another thing you might have noticed about the tier 2 encounters are the 2 separate encounters spawned at the same time. Here we had the Ogre Krugor and the Knights Mingor and Kradag. Not only are the encounters a higher light level, but they also spawn 2 encounters at the same time. We know that there's also going to be a tier 3, but what that entails is unknown at this time since we only got to complete tier 1 and then get stonewalled by tier 2. Now, let's go over the runes that you'll use to start the encounters. We had 2 different levels of runes in our inventory, the common quality reciprocal rune and the blue quality stolen rune. I never actually checked out my inventory to see what runes were used after every encounter, but I imagine the white quality runes were used for tier 1 and blue quality for tier 2. It should also be stated that we don't really know how to get these runes right now, as we just had them already in our inventories in the test build. Until we know the specifics of getting the runes, I'm just going to assume that you get them from completing various activities in the game. Now as for the encounters themselves, we got to see some of the tier 1 encounters. I'll briefly explain the ones that we saw and what we had to do to kill them. Brachus Horausk was a Taken Cabal captain. He spawned with an immunity shield, and to get rid of it, you had to kill all of his adds. Once they were dead, you could damage him for a few seconds and the adds would respawn. Repeat until loot. The doll wizards were a trio of hive wizards that had to be killed around the same time, or else they would respawn. They were pretty easy to take out with minimal communication. Krugor was an ogre that had an immunity shield that could only be taken down by exploding a cursed thrall next to him. Doing that would give you a small window of opportunity to deal damage to him. This fight was difficult with another group nearby since they would always kill the cursed thralls assuming they weren't a crucial part of the fight. The Knight Vorlog had a shield that would change elemental type. Aside from the other mobs and the tomb ships that would damage you, he was pretty easy to just shotgun Zerg down. Lokar was a high wizard that would teleport shortly after her shield was brought down, so you had to time your damage accordingly. The knights Kradag and Mengor were a pair of knights that had immunity shields. They were only brought down when they were close together. This was a little difficult to do in a public setting since everyone's basic instinct is to run away from the knights, but if everyone just stuck together, then the knights would stay close enough that you could damage them. Those were the fights that we saw during our very short time there. Now let's get into the one thing everyone wants to know about. If you were the one that started the event, and that event was completed, then you were rewarded some loot at the top chest. If you simply participated in the event, then you would usually get an engram at some point during the fight. This is just for tier 1 though. We have no idea how the loot will change going through the higher tiers. I'm sure some of you guys are a little confused on why not everyone is getting ample amounts of loot. Well, my idea on this is that Bungie is wanting this to be a group-focused activity where people take turns summoning bosses. The primary person who invested the runes to summon the boss will get rewarded as such, and then incur the debuff to let someone else use their runes to get loot. This promotes everyone sticking around and helping other groups so they can get a turn at the loot. You won't be swimming in rewards just by helping people, but you will get some engrams and loot for your time there. If you want the good rewards, you'll have to invest the runes to summon the fight. Those are just my thoughts on the loot system that we saw. Now that's all that we really know about the Court of Oryx as of now. As far as initial impressions go, I really enjoyed it as a group-based activity. The encounters are simple enough, at least tier 1 level, that you can do them without paying attention too hard. The fact that there's the option for another random fire team or just some people exploring the Dreadnought to join in and help you out is pretty cool, and it will lead to a lot of new friendships. Just invite those randoms to a party on PlayStation or Xbox and you can actually start communicating with them. Now, I should also highlight some unknowns. At the bottom of the Court of Oryx, there was a chest that could only be opened by using a special key. We have no idea how to get this key or even what could be in the chest, but I'm going to speculate that it has something to do with the higher levels of the Court of Oryx. You might have also noticed that there are 6 statues in the summoning area. We know that the left 3 are used to summon tiers 1 through 3, but again, we have no idea on what the other 3 statues are for. So, that's it for the Court of Oryx overview. I had a blast playing it, and I can't wait to do it in the actual release on the 15th of September. I hope you guys found this video helpful. This has been Patrick Casey with Planet Destiny, your guide to the Destiny universe.